Um, it's an interesting topic, and it was quite interesting seeing people's reactions to the question that I'm going to talk about today. And I'm just pulling up kind of the stats on Facebook here. I've already seen the Instagram stats, so very interesting. The question I posed today was, do we believe that some of these Instagram girls we see claiming to eat 3,000 calories a day, do we believe that's a truthful statement? So without further ado, let me get into it, because I don't want to spend too much time with you tonight. Well, I do want to spend time with you guys, but I don't want to take up too much of your time, I guess I should say. But I think this is a cool topic, so let me just add this here. All right. I'll just minimize myself. Now, interestingly enough, I am working with a computer. All my equipment is being serviced right now. I'm working with a computer out of the 90s, so please bear with me. Welcome, Bill. So I am looking forward to your feedback as well. So I was in no hurry to get started because this is broadcasting live before it goes into replay, and looking forward to some feedback. So the question was, can Instagram fitness girls eat 3,000 calories a day and still look fit? Because that seems to be kind of a big thing going around. I would not say that it's the majority of Instagram, influencers, female influencers that are saying stuff like this, but we're seeing kind of a growing proportion. I asked the question on my Instagram and through Facebook, and it was interesting that Facebook today, it was 100% of people said, no, that's not possible. And then at the very last minute, there was kind of a surge of people that said yes. So I don't know if they were doing that to play devil's advocate, or whether that's their true feelings. Instagram, it's been interesting throughout the day, where it was most people were saying no, then it was 50-50 yes, then a few more people actually said yes, that's possible, and then it slid to no. I think it ended up being like 70-30 was the split. So I'm going to kind of get into the science of it, the claims of it, the science of it, and kind of break some stuff down for you and let you know if that's possible. Because let's be honest, that Instagram and Facebook and all these different social media platforms, they've got influencers for a reason. They're called influencers, right? They influence people. People look up to them. People want to be like them. People look at what they're doing and go on, wow, I want to be like that. And wow, look at them, whatever their life is. So in this case, we're talking about fit girls who look great. Wow, I want to look like them. And cool, this is what they're saying. I want to follow them. So let's get into it. And throughout the process, definitely welcome your questions, your feedback, all that kind of stuff. I'm just going to maximize this part of the screen here. So, here's just a few. There's hundreds of them at this point. Here's a few of the Instagram influencers who are women who, quote unquote, eat 3,000 calories a day. So that is the claim. Some of them just say, hey, I eat 3,000 calories and I do no cardio. Others are, hey, I work out a lot. I eat 3,000 calories. Others, judging by what they're putting out there on social media, trying to kind of get a handle on what they're saying, they probably work out at the level of a competitive fitness athlete. So here's just a small section of them. I'm going to say some things in this presentation. I want to put a disclaimer in the beginning that I will not accuse any of these ladies of anything. We're just kind of breaking it down. This is a thought exercise. Okay. The other thing is you'll notice they all look fantastic. So absolutely nothing to take away from them in terms of their work ethic. They look amazing. They're influencers for a reason. They've got that look, that body that, other women would aspire to. So awesome on them. Okay. So the claims that I'm seeing a lot of them making, one is under eating and over exercising leads to exhaustion, slower metabolism, and rebounding. And that's a fantastic message to put out there, because a lot of people during the weight loss process, they decide they're going to cut as many calories as possible. They're going to work out probably harder than they ever have in their life. And what happens is they end up getting exhausted. They've kind of beat up their metabolism because they're essentially starving themselves. And then they just get frustrated, they're tired, and they end up rebounding. Fantastic message. Another thing is women shouldn't have to starve themselves to look good. Awesome. Nobody should have to starve themselves to look good. That is a horrible thing to put out there. So their message of you shouldn't have to starve yourself to look good is a fantastic message. Okay. Higher calories will speed your metabolism. That is true to an effect, or to a degree, I should say. It's true to a degree. And then you can eat whatever you want, including candy and ice cream every day. Now, I want to give a little disclaimer. I found that in a few of these posts from some of these influencers. So there's many of them not claiming that kind of stuff. But this was one of the more bold claims out there. And then among the other ones are, some of the ladies are saying they work out a lot. Others are saying all they do is they lift 1 hour a day. They're not doing any cardio. So we'll get into that. So what does the science say? All this talk, we were in the middle of this pandemic and we're talking about science, science, science. We got to believe in science. So what does science say about the possibility that these ladies are eating 3,000 calories a day, sometimes without doing a lot of work, all that kind of stuff? So there are different accepted methods for estimating what's called the resting metabolic rate. So that is your metabolism when you're just kind of sitting on the couch, vegging on Netflix. Very similar to a basal metabolic rate, but there's just some slight differences. It's not, you don't have to be fasted for as long. And basal metabolic rate is like basically just don't even move at all. But your basic vegging, changing positions on the couch, maybe getting up to get yourself a meal, that's all part of resting metabolic rate. And there's a formula, a very accepted formula called the Catch-McArdle calculation, which estimates someone's resting metabolic rate. And usually it's fairly accurate. And when I mean fairly accurate, it's accurate enough that it's published in peer-reviewed scientific journals. There's also a quick formula that is relatively close. So when I mean relatively close, sometimes it's within just 5 to 10 calories of this lengthier calculation. Okay, so we can see how that calculation goes. We can see this other calculation for women 18 to 30, which is where our influencers seem to hang out age-wise. 14.7 times their weight in kilograms plus 496. So all of these formulas work with metric measurements for all of the US people watching this. That's the way the rest of the world operates. And you guys use some of your imperial stuff still, but we'll get into that. Okay. And then there's an activity multiplier. Okay. So resting metabolic rate is basically you doing your activities of of daily living. Let's say activities of winter lockdown daily living. So you're not really doing much, milling around the house, all that kind of stuff. You've got an activity multiplier. So that ranges anywhere from 1.3. So if you're doing some chores around the house, carrying the laundry around, ironing, all that kind of stuff, that would be a 1.3 activity multiplier. So it means whatever your resting metabolic rate is, multiply that by 1.3 when you're doing light activity. And it goes all the way up to 2.2. Now, 2.2 would be the way someone like Michael Phelps is training for the Olympics. This is basically an athlete at the highest level. So this is not, Tom Brady or even LeBron James playing their season. This is them in training camp doing the much harder work, or this is an Olympic athlete training all out for their sport. Okay, so that's what a 2.2 is. So unless we're talking about an Olympic athlete or an NBA, NHL, MLB player, nobody's up at that 2.2 level. So fitness athletes will range between 1.5 to 1.9 as a multiplier. Now, 1.9 is being generous. Basically, 1.9, and they give, in the literature, they give kind of what a 1.9 is. It would be basically carrying half a person, like a small kid, on your shoulder and walking uphill with them. So it's relatively intense. It would be playing a sport at a relatively intense pace. Okay, so this would be maybe LeBron James on the basketball court during the regular season, not his training camp, which would be closer to the 2.2. Okay, so get me? So I'm being generous, very generous with a 1.9 calculation. I'd say most fitness athletes are ranging between 1.5 to maybe 1.7. Okay, that would be the more realistic. For men, these multipliers are different, so we're just talking about women now. Okay, so let's apply the science. So the average age of these influencers is about 25 years old. So the age matters. The younger you are, the faster your metabolism is in general. As you age, the metabolism tends to slow down. The average height, we're saying about 5'4". Okay, 5'4" is the average height for most women across the board. So we're going to say most of these fitness influencers are about the same. Converting to centimeters, 162.6. Their average weight, from what I was able to, so my sample size was probably about 20 of them, and they're basically saying they're coming in anywhere between 135 and 145 pounds based on people I've worked with in the past. That is a reasonable off-season weight. 145 would typically be at the higher end. So we said, okay, average 61 kilograms, 140 pounds. So based on those calculations, so going back to the previous slide, the McArdle calculation, their resting metabolic rate would be 1,424 calories. Okay. So if we look at their daily caloric expenditure, taking their activity into account, it would be anywhere from 2,100 to 2,705 calories. Okay. So again, if we're being generous and assuming somebody is going at this crazy all-out pace, they're probably at 1.9. But remember, this daily caloric expenditure, it averages over a week. So somebody is not training at that crazy rate all the time. Okay, so here's what we're looking at. This is what the science says that these people would be at based on what they're saying. So these are the factors that influence your resting metabolic rate. We're talking about age. So the younger you are, the faster your metabolism is. Weight, the more you weigh, even if you're obese, the more you weigh, the faster your metabolism is, because the body is always trying to get to a point of homeostasis where your genetics tell you, okay, here's about where you should be. Okay, gender. So females have a slower metabolism than men on average. Weight. That was a duplicate, but muscle mass. So it's not just about weight. If you are carrying more muscle mass, then you will burn at a slightly higher rate than someone who is heavier with more body fat. Internal, external temperature. So if it's super cold outside, your body starts to shiver. Okay, calories are being burned to do that. Okay, if it's super hot, your body has the process of sweating. So there's a lot of activity going on to make you sweat, to bring your temperature down. If you've got a fever, all these kind of things will affect your metabolism. And then, of course, thyroxine, which is the output of your thyroid hormone. Okay, so some people do have hypothyroidism, so very fast metabolisms because of the hormone. And then some people have hypo, which means slower, and then hyper, which would be the faster metabolism. So hypo, slower metabolism, hyper, faster metabolism. Okay, so taking all those into consideration, is it possible that these Instagram influencers are eating the 3,000 calories that they claim? Well, yes, if there's some conditions. One, they are seeking to gain muscle. So in all fairness, some of these influencers started out quite skinny and they actually got bigger. And they got sometimes 15, even 20 pounds bigger. So they are seeking to gain muscle and they are doing extreme workouts consistently, extremely high intensity. Okay? Because if you're not doing high intensity workouts and you're putting yourself into that caloric surplus, you're going to gain fat. It's not going to be muscle. So you need to work out at a very high level with that. Perhaps they're eating 3,000 calories on some days, but really they're cycling calories. So we looked in the other slide where they could be up to 2,700 calories, which is in kind of the margin of error there, 300 calories off the 3,000. So maybe, they're saying, yeah, I do eat 3,000 calories and it's pretty regular, but really it's not every day. That could make sense because there's some days where they're training at, extreme intensities, and other days where they would back off the calories and, they wouldn't eat so high of calories. So that's caloric cycling. There is an unfortunate phenomenon in the industry, and very unfortunately, it's becoming a little bit more prevalent. But we did talk about how thyroxine, the hormone from your thyroid, can regulate your metabolism. So if you put out a lot of that hormone, it speeds your metabolism. There are unfortunately a lot of mimicking drugs out there that some high-level fitness athletes are using. I wouldn't say any Olympic athlete is using them or any professional athlete. This would be about physique athletes. And some are using other metabolic drugs, i.e. clenbuterol. So clenbuterol, one of those drugs that kind of stimulates your nervous system on a constant level. So you'll see people, the physique athletes that use it, they're using enough, they'll start to shake. So it's almost like that, temperature response, right? When things are cold, you start to shiver, metabolism goes up. Okay, these are dangerous drugs. They do have long-term horrible, horrible side effects. And I've got a situation that's close to me personally, where I had two friends that I knew quite well that ultimately died as a result of these drugs, one directly, one indirectly. The other thing is they could be outliers. So there are outliers there are people that defy science. Okay, science is great when you have large sample size and it applies broadly to your sample. But in science and stats and all this kind of stuff, we know what are called outliers. Okay, so there is a chance that we have some outliers, people that can eat 3,000, maybe even more calories, and they're able to look fit, ripped, skinny, whatever it is. Now, the likely answer, though, is no. That's the likely answer. So, yes, with conditions, but they're fairly unlikely conditions, especially some of these people that, we've seen their journey on Instagram. They went through that initial transformation and they're still claiming that they eat about 3,000 calories. So again, that would throw out the fact that they're still, seeking to gain significant muscle because they would have slowed down by this point. Okay, so that long-term 3,000 calories a day, it's not happening. Okay, so they could be estimating their calories incorrectly. So, I'm not going to. This isn't to imply that they're necessarily lying about that. There could be a number of reasons why they're not eating 3,000 calories, and they say they are. So one is they could be estimating the calories incorrectly. So a lot of people underestimate what they eat. And I've seen this a lot in my training. These hard gainers that come to me, they say they're eating everything they can. They just can't put on weight. They're eating this, that, whatever they can get their hands on, and they just can't put on weight no matter what. And then I put them on a 2,400 calorie diet, and they're ready to throw up. So what does that suggest? They were severely overestimating the amount of calories they were eating. So my diet, as a 215-pound male at 6 feet tall, who works out at a pretty high level. So right now I'm mixing track running, boxing, body weight workouts, plyometrics, parkour. I'm eating about 24 to 2,600 calories a day. Okay, so that is through experience that I know exactly what I'm eating. I know my estimates are within very, very close distances. Okay, some of these girls even use tracking apps like MyFitnessPal, but a lot of these foods you can put into MyFitnessPal, and actually it's somebody else. It's kind of crowdsourcing some of these foods. So other people may have underestimated or overestimated how many calories something has, and it throws off your count a little bit. Okay. Again, likely not, because it would be hard to maintain the activity level required for 3,000 calories. Like I said, if people are getting an activity multiplier of 1.9, they're training at a high level. They are like crushing their weight training workouts to the point where they've gone to failure. They're keeping their heart rate up throughout. This would be like somebody doing CrossFit would probably be a 1.9 or a 2. Okay, somebody doing their CrossFit workout regularly. Okay, so it is unlikely, especially with some of these influencers that say, no, I'm just doing compound movements. I'm not doing any cardio whatsoever. I train 4 times a week. It's pretty unrealistic to think that these people are eating 3,000 calories a day, especially if it's every day. And hey, as they say, it's all for the gram, baby, right? So we all know the rumors about, Kardashians and other celebrities on there. They're airbrushing photos and all that kind of stuff. Hey, it's all for the gram. We see, accounts like Billionaire Lifestyle, Millionaire Lifestyle. We see, rappers and music videos, all this kind of stuff, throwing around stacks of cash that really aren't real cash. They're just printed on a printer. They've rented a Maserati for the day that's not really theirs. All this kind of stuff. So a lot of them are putting it out there for Instagram. But why would they tell us this? Like, why would they say, hey, I'm eating 3,000 calories a day? And why would they just do that for the gram? Well, whenever you look at any source of information, you always need to look for a bias. Where are they coming from? Why are they telling me this? Are all their intentions good? So most of these, in fact, all of the people that I looked into, they're selling online meal programs. So when they're able to say, look at me, look how shredded I am, look at the abs I have, and guess what? I'm able to eat candy and I'm able to eat ice cream and 3,000 calories a day. Woo! Well, that's all about marketing. So the science hasn't changed in years and years and years in regards to nutrition and training, but marketing has. So the tried and proven methods are boring and not sexy. They don't grab your attention. So imagine, these same influencers going, hey, today I made myself a salad with spinach and bell peppers and tomatoes, and I had that with salmon. Okay, and my next meal was Icelandic yogurt with some nuts. And my next meal was some chicken with half a sweet potato. Okay, how many younger girls do you think would buy their programs? Especially those looking to lose weight. Not nearly as many, right? It's not nearly as sexy. That's not to say nobody would buy their programs. There would be people that buy it. But it's not as sexy as saying, hey, I eat candy and ice cream and I eat 3,000 calories a day. So the old adage of everything in moderation, small portion sizes, eat your fruits and vegetables, your weight will be determined by the energy balance of calories in versus calories out. That doesn't sell. But guess what? That, my friends, is what works. That's the science that's been proven over decades. So what should you do? Use a science-based approach or work with a trainer who bases their programs on science. So if these ladies are out there and they're saying, hey, I eat candy and ice cream and 3,000 calories a day, it is within the realm of possibility that they do eat like that. It is within the realm of possibility. Is it likely? No. Is it likely to work for an average person? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. What does work all the time is a science-based approach. Whether you take that science-based approach or whether you work with a trainer who uses a science-based approach. So, when I don't really do that much marketing on social media regarding my training business, but I can tell you when I do post about it, it doesn't get all the hoopla that some of this other stuff does. It's boring. Hey, I'm training hard. Hey, I'm eating healthy. Hey, I'm doing some cardio. It's not sexy. It's not me flexing abs and saying I eat 6,000 calories a day and I've had, 2 gallons of ice cream. Okay? But the science works. That's what works. So most active females need 1,500 to 2,000 calories a day. Now, my wife, I did a presentation on her last week. Super fit girl. I think she's got an Instagram, worthy body. I think she's got a fantastic physique that others would look up to. She's eating 1,500 calories a day or less. She's staying active. Definitely not as active as she was when the gyms were open, but she's active. Okay, so 1,500 calories. She's 5'3". I won't give her away her weight because, you don't do that. But she's 5'3". She's very, average size, relatively petite. Eats about 1,500 calories a day. A taller, bigger female or more active female might eat 2,000 calories a day. That's about the range that science shows, especially if you're looking to shed body fat. Avoid processed foods. So eating ice cream, bad messaging. Eating candy, bad messaging. Okay? You can save those treats for your cheat meal. So I've said it before, my favorite cheat meal is pizza, Dairy Queen Blizzard, cinnamon bread, Coke. It's horrible, horrible, horrible. And then when my wife put it in MyFitnessPal, ooh, did it hurt. I think it was 2,400 calories in one meal. Because I eat a lot. But it's one meal a week. Okay? So I don't eat processed foods. I eat whole foods throughout the week. And I save that for my cheat meal. One meal. Okay? And actually, that's where we get into that caloric cycling, right? Where the body kind of gets used to a certain number of calories. It adjusts. It doesn't give you the results the way you'd like. So you kind of jack it up. The metabolism goes, oh, I got to try and burn that off. And then you're back to your baseline of calories with a slightly higher metabolism for at least a few days while it tries to, catch up to what you ate. Okay. And keep in mind your goals. So just remember, your goals might be to lose body fat. Most of the Instagram girls I've found, they started very skinny and they've got a message of under eating is bad, over exercising is bad, eat more, train smarter, which is right. Okay. But if your goal is to lose body fat, your goal is to lose weight, if your goal is to maintain, maybe just put on a little bit of muscle, well, then the goals don't align at all. Okay. So you want to look for and listen to people that either know how to work with your goals or people that are actually living out your goals. Okay. And avoid the hype. And I put in brackets there, as best you can, because we all succumb to marketing. I went out and bought myself a car because of the brand and totally bought into it. Now I've got my MBA. I studied marketing. I know how marketers try and get into your head. And guess what? I still fall prey to it all the time. Okay. And these girls, a lot of them have social media managers. They've got marketing people behind them, especially when they start getting into, 500,000 followers and above. Typically, there's somebody that has the messaging there for them. There's marketers working with them. So do your best to avoid the hype, okay? Because their messaging is very attractive and good for them. They're running a business. They're trying to sell stuff, but that's not always going to work for you. And in this case of eating 3,000 calories a day, it's not going to work for you. So that is all I've got to say about that. I want to thank you for joining me. Bill was just talking about my cheat meal. Let's see. He was saying horrible, but tasty. Yes, it is tasty. It helps me keep my sanity when I'm trying to eat strict all the time. I'm like, if only I could eat whatever. Some of those cheat meals, they're good psychologically for you. And typically by the time I'm done at cheat meal, I'm just like, I want to eat clean for a few days. And it's not, usually until about the Thursday or Friday where I'm really craving that again and then wanting to eat that. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. I do welcome your comments. So this is broadcasting live on Facebook and YouTube. I keep an eye on both the channels. If you want to put your comments in there, I will respond. If you're watching on YouTube, you can subscribe to the channel. I will be on I'll be on here every Wednesday at 7:30 to discuss something. And Julianne, you're most welcome, Julianne. Very nice to hear from you. And thanks for tuning in. So yeah, like I said, you can subscribe on YouTube, and then you'll get notifications when I come on. Please give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Spread the word. I love having conversations. So like stuff like this. Glennis comes in. Cheat meals are necessary for our sanity. But I also love conversation where you guys may disagree with me. I want you to have your opinions, and then I'll bring up your opinion, and then I may agree with it, I may disagree with it, but it makes the discussion more fun. And if you guys have questions, typically I will take them on here live as well. So once again, thanks for listening. We'll see you next week. Peace.